leadership in business. I'm Ryan McCarty.
And I'm George Rogers, and we go live every week to learn from each other and hear from other experts about how to effectively champion our team members and ourselves. So join us live every Wednesday on our social networks or subscribe. You can listen to Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Now, let's champion your culture.
Champion your
culture.
Morning, George. How you doing, brother?
Oh, good morning, my friend. Good morning. I am doing well. Over here in the good old Nashville. Man, it's been gloomy
Nashville.
Days.
Yeah.
We need some sunshine.
Oh, here too. Yesterday was the sun came out like at early in the morning, and I called Qatar. I'm like, hey, I just went outside. The sun's peeking through. Get outside now. It's like get your eyes in the sun. Anytime the sun's just peeking through, I'm like running outside, and they say don't look directly into the sun, but I'm looking close to it, man. I'm trying to get as much of that into my soul as possible. I'm so ready for spring. So shout out to everybody that's all over the world. We're talking about it gloomy. It could be sunny and beautiful where you're at. We have listeners all over the world, George. We could be saying good morning to some of our listeners and those that come on with us, and we could be saying good evening, right? So, hey, welcome everyone to Champion Your Culture, the podcast. We're excited that you're on with us today. George, we have so many great things coming up with Culture of Good. The training is next week. This is the last week for you to sign up for our 2-day training. Our 2-day training is going to be January 24th and 25th. George, why is it so important for those that are listening to actually participate and invest in themselves in our 2-day training?
I think it first starts off with Ryan, and welcome everybody. But I think it first starts off with really aligning. It's early in the year. I'm excited about it because, as we were talking about the dates and when we should do this, and we kind of struggle with this first month. Like, should we do this coming out of the holidays? This in the year. A lot of, owners and CEOs at the leadership management area, they're all thinking about budget. And is it really the right time for something like this? And, Martin Luther King said it best, is always the right time to do the right thing, right? So doing the right thing at the right time is always important, especially when you have that momentum in the beginning. So, having that purpose-driven culture and leadership development and really driving those as a key focus strategically in the beginning of the year, I believe really sets the foundation of what you want to do, where you want to go, and why you want to do what you're going to do for the rest of the year. So that engaging and empowerment for your company's culture, planting the flag right now is so vital. So I encourage everybody, January 24th, 25th, next week. And it's virtual. You don't have to worry about traveling the last minute, where you're going to be, how you're going to get there. All you need is your laptop, your iPad, jump on your iPhone. You're going to get a digital playbook to be able to follow along and really build up your own workbook, your own playbook to bring culture good into your workplace. And we got a lot of testimonials we can throw out there on social media. We could share a lot of videos of the impact that it's done for companies that we've worked with over the last 10 years. But there's no greater feeling than just putting your hands to plow and, getting this
just to rocking it.
So, come and rock it. There's all types of opportunities for you. And it's 50% off of what we used to do. So there's that value add there where you're getting everything that you need in 2 days for half the price of what it normally was. And you get to see Ryan too. And
Shannon too. Shannon's going to be on with us. Yeah.
And Shannon, and listen, I don't know if they're ready for Shannon.
Nah.
They're not ready for the love doctor.
The love doctor that actually beats you up with MMA and then heals you with love. Shannon's going to be with us, and we're really super stoked about it. Just want to give a shout out to all of our previous champions that have been through our training that are now implementing our process in your company. Big shout out to all of you. This is work, right? Culture, championing people, championing ourselves. It's work. George, we get on every single week to talk about topics that we feel are relevant, that are just real topics that we deal with that can move the needle, not just for ourselves, but also for our team and our organization. And this month, is a real exciting month. you have a lot of transition going on in your life. You know, there's a lot of transition going on, and many of our listeners and business, and you know, having this month being the month of national mentoring, when you brought that up to me, I thought, what an amazing topic to begin speaking about right at the beginning of the year. Because when we think about our training and our coaching and all of that, George, it's like that mentoring piece. As I research over the last 10 years and study culture, study engagement, and in particular today, which is really cool, all about retention. When I study that, mentorship keeps being this alarm that keeps going off as I'm doing the research, and as we're working with people. The gap that I'm finding between those that stay in a company and those that leave a company, we know this. It comes down to leadership. But what does that look like in practical terms? It really comes down to mentorship.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like when there's a lack of mentorship, then there's a lack of culture, because mentorship is how culture continues to be reinforced throughout an organization. Without mentorship, you have a culture program, you might have a culture strategy, but it's going to fail because you don't have people pouring into people. When we talk about championing your culture, we're talking about championing people, right? So, like mentorship connected to retention is what I want to talk about. Like mentor driven retention this year is going to be really, really, I think, going to be the key differentiator in business for those that actually keep that talent within their organization and grow with it and invest in that talent, or those that are going to see a pretty quick, they're going to continue to see that revolving door where people are coming in and leaving, because there's nothing once they come in, or no one rather, to actually become connected to. So that's what we're talking about today, is mentor driven retention. So when you think about mentorship, George, like for me, it's come up so many times in my life when I think about men and women that have invested in me, right? Those
Yeah.
that have taken the time to say, you matter enough to me that I'm going to take my time, which I know as a young person was really valuable. And even today at 46 years old, I have mentors in business and different. So what does that look like for you throughout life in terms of mentorship within business? How has that mattered?
I think one of the first things that come to mind is when I understood the role of a mentor. Um, I had this guy come up to me, this one of my heroes of life. He said, as a young age, the big brothers and big sisters YMCA, that Girls Club of America, those things were places that, uh, as I got older, I realized I was just dropped off. That was babysitting. My family didn't want to watch me. They got tired of me, right?
Kids
As I
church.
got older, yeah, as I got older, I had a gentleman said, if you want me to mentor you, you got to understand what it is. And he literally, and this is probably the root of why I break down everything, or I throw words together and make them my own. But he said, it's
Yeah.
me touring you from where I've been and experiences that I've been through in life. And so
Mm,
mentoring, it just kind of broke it down. It was like, hey, we're going to go on a tour. These are things that you're going to expect. And so the purpose of mentoring for me was always to help the mentee tap into knowledge of those who had experiences, right? Who has gone through a journey of life of ups and downs, failures and successes, um, and even experience more things than together. And so that was part of the mentorship for me, was really going through that phase of experiencing more than I would have ever experienced through somebody who's been there and done that, and learned faster than I would on my own, right? And so it's that shared experience of saying, Ryan's been through this, George, and he's going to mentor you through things that not only you're going to go through on a day-to-day life, but he's going to mentor you through things he's experienced. So if those things come up, you have some type of playbook
mhm.
to adapt. Now, what worked for you 10 years ago may not work today. But I
Yeah.
have a playbook that says Ryan been there, he's conquered that, and these are the steps that he's taken. In that mentorship, we call it the F3, the tornado, right? The feel, felt, found, right? Mentality where George, I understand how you feel. I once felt that way, and this is what I found, right?
Hmm.
So going
Yep.
through those phases and understanding, but ultimately, especially when you take that now from just a life mentorship to a work mentorship, it's still the same, but I believe there's some practical foundational keys, right? In the workplace, um, there's a trust factor that has to happen. I got to trust that you are doing this for me and not for the business, right? What's the
Right.
benefit and the outcome? Especially nowadays, Ryan, and you and I know this best, is that we've gone through and we've seen so many people come in and out of our lives, both that we mentored or coached or just loved on, and or who's experienced the same on the opposite side of the table. It's hard to just say I trust you and I'm going to latch on every word, right?
Yeah.
We've gone through so many experiences. We've been heartbroken. Trust has been tainted. It's that kind of that monopoly world. It's like I don't know where I'm going to go, who I'm going to trust, but I believe the foundation has to be built on the purpose of mentorship is building trust, establishing goals, taking action, and then most importantly, let's celebrate. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we get a touchdown, if we do something great in life, we go through an experience and it was hell and high waters, but we still went through it, right? Going through hell, keep on going, don't stop and
Yep.
get burned up. Like, let's celebrate that. However, we choose to celebrate, let's celebrate that life.
I love that. I love that. I love the what were the three F's?
Feel,
Yep.
felt, found.
Yeah, yeah. Because in terms of mentorship, and I think this is different. Um, when we think about mentor, that title itself speaks to a unique relationship between two people, right? So I can give someone advice and not be their mentor. I can give them counsel and not mentor them. It really is an investment. And when you talk about building trust, we've talked about this in relationships, and it's something that within therapy that I've learned trust is and does matter. And it's going to be a key that all relationship is built on. Also, accountability has to be in place, right? So when we start to think about mentorship within the workplace, there might be those that are listening that say, we don't have a mentorship program. We don't have any leadership type development where people are pouring into others, right? The question that I always start with when I look at an organization is who's pouring into who? Like who's investing in who? Do you have someone that you're mentoring and do you have a mentor? Do you have someone in your life that is a unique relationship that you have built that communication with, and you are gaining guidance, and there is trust that's being built? There's accountability in place, and you're growing in terms of your skill, your ability, your knowledge. To your point, it's one who has gone before us that has that experience that we don't have, that has gone further than we've gone. The idea is that really success is how we have introduced others to their purpose and the desire that they have for destiny and meaningful work and fulfillment, which means I'm not fulfilled in life and my work until I help others to find fulfillment in theirs, right? Because leadership is not about how far can I get for myself. Leadership is also about how far can I go so that I can bring others along and see how far they can go even beyond me. And I think within mentorship, to your point, we've had a lot of mentors, you and I, throughout our lives. But in terms of having an actual like structured mentorship program in the company, even deciding to introduce something like that to the company is going to stir up some realities, right? Like when I go to introduce a mentorship program into a business that has not established trust, to your point, then there's going to be a glaring reality that we have to start from a point of building accountability, leadership culture, building trust, relationship between bosses and team members or managers, senior leadership, those that are in junior positions, right? So all of that really matters. And there's a lot of complexity that goes into the realities that we face, that if I'm a mentor, if there's if there's a lot of gaps socially, if there's realities and challenges to racial realities within the workplace that I might not be privy to, George, but you are. How do we begin to manage all of that? It's not just simply saying, oh, why don't we start a mentorship program and pick 12 people that are really good at their job and have them start investing in people? You know what I'm saying? Like, we really have to know our shit. Like, we have to have studied and have done our homework. Like, I'm not a mentor just because I'm really good, like I said, at giving you life advice. I'm a mentor because I've done my homework and I've positioned myself in a place where I know that if I mentor you, George, I'm going to know what I can about you and learn everything that I can about you and what makes you tick, your personality, what your dreams and ambitions are, what you really want out of life and work, what brings you fulfillment, what gets you excited, what makes your heart break when you look out into the world, what kind of needs are you wanting to meet. I'm wanting to learn all of that because the more that I learn about you, the more that I can really invest into what you want in life and where you want to go. Right. So it's really about what skills, abilities, and knowledge do I have that I can pour into someone else. It could be a peer, could be someone that's, like I said, in a junior position, could be someone that's being brought into onboarding, whatever it is. Who are you mentoring? You know, how are you investing into someone else and not just saying we're investing into the business?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's important. You mentioned something earlier, Ryan, and we talk about, obviously kicking off this year with profitability and really talking about those aspects of things and mental health last week. It's it's not shocking when data comes out that a lot of these things are connected, right? Culture, you said, is connected. Burnout, D&I, employee belonging, all these things are connected. It's that domino effect, right? And the root of all things is, is not evil. The root of all things is really leadership. In the workplace, it's leadership. It is leadership. And there's different types of leaders. I remember I have a good friend um, that I joined with a while back. And one of the things he says, listen, I'm not the greatest leader, but I love people. What he's saying is that, hey, if you're looking for somebody that's going to take you to the next level, I don't know if that's me. And I'm okay with that. And
Yeah.
I'll find you somebody. I'll pay for a coach or a leadership executive of some sort. But what he was great at was that he loved people, he cared for people, right? He encouraged, he had empathy and compassion, but he also had the respect and the heartbeat of the business. That business was business, but he did it through care and love and empathy. To where that was his leadership style. That's okay. Whatever type of leader you are, that's great. But you got to have balance as well. But it takes me a while back. A couple of months ago, I shared the psychological definition of belonging was I
Yeah.
feel accepted, I feel respected, and I feel appreciated. Right? When they feel that way, employees that have a leader that they feel like accepts them for who they are, where they are, but obviously where they want to go, right? Respect them for who they are, where they are, and where they want to go, and appreciate it and all the things they do, not just as an individual, but also I appreciate what you do for this business, and confirming those things through affirmation, words of affirmation. That impact on retention goes up, right? There's
Yeah.
half times more likely to feel like the company is open and transparent when they have that leader that makes them feel like they belong. And that burnout, what causes that, right? We
Yeah.
can jump into that right now and talk about the burnout and stress. Key reasons for people that are quitting their jobs. It's not
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Top three reasons why employers are saying they're learning and they're getting away from it is from the mental health. They're looking for stress management training. They're looking for a company that's going to help provide growth and opportunities, developing, capable leaders. in that area. And so when we talk about the burnout and stress part of it, it's directly tied then to how we do that. And this is some of the data that I'm sharing is coming from Lighthouse Research and Advisors. So I want to give
Yeah.
that credit where it's due. Ben Eubanks and a great team over there. But
Yeah,
when
we're always real excited about partnering with Lighthouse. This is
yeah,
great.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. And so some of the data just on behind that pay, burnout, and stress is becoming a bigger factor. Key reasons why people are quitting their job. 7 in 10 workers would be interested in training for stress management, right? If people are asking for these things, is that not a hint that there's a
Yeah.
struggle going on, Ryan? You
Well,
know,
that's the whole thing. And when someone's asking for um, promotion, when someone's asking for mental health resources, really all of those elements of what employees are sticking around for within a job can be found within a context of a mentorship, a real solid mentorship program within an organization can embody a lot of what you're talking about, right? A
yeah,
lot of the mental health resources, like to give access to those things. And there's a huge disparity between within um, employees of color and those that are not, in terms of the opportunity for mentorship. So when we think about that, there's a massive gap there as well. And so when we think about, to your point, the DEI, we actually can build DEI through mentorship, right? Because this is the rehumanizing. It's getting everyone empowered and engaged to be involved to bring up that next. I mean, we did it, you and I lived this in the church and nonprofit world. You're always pouring into someone else because you're bringing them along, you know, within this, and that data that's coming out in terms of the mental health piece of it, when we think about when we're struggling emotionally, when I'm struggling with my mental health, when I'm struggling whether I belong or not, when I struggle with my well-being, having someone within the workplace that I can turn to is everything. It's everything. When I feel all of that and feel alone and feel like the company doesn't care about me other than getting some work done and kicking me a paycheck every other week, then I'm in a workplace that's not furthering my well-being, not furthering my mental health. And then we get stuck into the reality of the fact that mentorship can be a solution that embodies a lot of what these companies are asking for. How do we build retention? How do we build recruitment? How do we build DEI? How do we build mental wellness, right? All of those things can be built into a mentorship, everything that you're really looking for, which is why we train champions, and why we teach how to build a team and how to start mentoring your team and how to build that team up. And so, yeah, this stuff is like very vital when we start looking at that data.
yep. You got any? I know we mentioned. I just want you to share some of this. I know we like to make sure we're both talking a little bit, but in regards to some of the burnout stuff, man, I really want to hear some of the things that you had to say on that, just because I think one, most people don't realize they're on that road to being burnout until they get there, right? It's very similar, and I've experienced this, and I'm sure many of others, that road to depression. Like you don't realize you're headed to that darkness, until you're on that journey. You're there, and then while you're there, it's like, how do I get out of this? And who do we talk to about it? Right? Burnout is that same way where it's just you're along the journey. You're working, you're working. You're in this cycle, and we don't think to step back, take some mental health, to take a
Mhm.
break 5 minutes every day just to breathe and just in peace or with light music, whatever that area or space that you can create for yourself. What is some of the information, Ryan, that you can share on burnout, or some of the knowledge there on what leads to it and how we can stay healthy?
Yeah. Well, to stay healthy, you have to get to a place of health. You can't stay where you're not at. A lot of people aren't at a place of health. And so to me, to me, every single person, myself for sure, if I'm not intentional about my mental health, my well-being, if I'm not practicing self-care, it's a practice. What we have to understand is that we only get better at what we practice. We only get good at what we continue to try. And a lot of times we've, taken on some disciplines and practices throughout our life that we that have worked for seasons, but we've not continued in those, right? And so it's very much like an on and off kind of relationship with our own emotional state, our own body. We kind of treat it much like a diet, right? But what we have to understand in terms of our well-being and mental health is that the first responsibility of all of that really lies with us. And I think it's important for us to understand that what our workplace offers, what people invest in us, that's additional to the work that we're doing for ourselves. Our self leadership and our self care, where our well-being comes from, is inside of us. And so as we open ourselves up to mentors, as we open ourselves up to coaches, to training and so forth, and really to be vulnerable, it gives us opportunity to not just continue to get allow life to pile on us, but at some point we're able to sit down and process through what we've been going through, how we can not only survive but also to thrive through the midst of chaos. I remember a mentor of mine always saying that when he gets on a boat, he wants the captain not to be a captain that's only sailed smooth waves and smooth seas. He wants to talk to the captain and make sure he's sailed when the wind has blown and the everything's tattered and the waves are crashing against the boat, and they've navigated through the most difficult times of their life, because that positions them then to mentor someone else, to really to be there for someone else. And I think about my own well-being and health, mental health journey. When I was at a place where I needed someone, I had to be open for someone to mentor me and to be there and to show up for me. But also, I had to learn how to show up for myself, because there's not always someone there, right? And I'm speaking to those that are listening to this podcast today, and you're at work and you have no mentors, you have no one that's investing in you. I think, and for some of you that are out there, you're struggling. You're at a place where, I could probably guarantee you that most of the people that are listening to this podcast or watching, are at least considering that, if looking for another place of work, or potentially working somewhere else. But those that are staying where they're at, those that are staying are those that truly believe and know that where they're at is a place where the leadership and the people, the owners, they really care. They really care. And there's someone at that workplace that has invested into that person. And that, I think, is really the key to all of this. It really matters. And I think we're going to continue this conversation. We'll see next week where we're at with this. But the steps of being able to be mentored, and also to become a mentor. Listen, if you're looking for that, Culture of Good provides the tools, tactics for you to build your team, to invest in people. George, I not only feel like there's been moments where I've mentored you, I feel like there's moments where you've mentored me, and your mentors have mentored me, and my mentors have mentored you, because that ripple effect of mentorship is what really we have to just keep throwing rocks in the water, right? Like, how are we this week throwing rocks in the water? How are we going to keep that investment and that ripple of mentorship growing and expanding, giving access, right? Those that are on the margins, many times, and underserved within, and underappreciated within the workplace. Yeah, those are those in the junior positions within a company. We need to start investing in them, start throwing rocks in the water. Let's start some ripples that start taking place, and those ripples will continue throughout the organization, and before long you'll see an entire culture that's shaped by leaders building leaders. That I think is a game changer for 2023, or I know it is.
Yep. And that's the fact, man. I know that we are getting close to the top of the 30-minute mark of our podcast. And we want to thank everybody again for joining us today on Champion Your Culture, sponsored by Culture of Good. Special shout out as well to Lighthouse Research and Advisory for some of the data and the team over there. And everybody that's listening, watching live right now, maybe whatever platform you're joining us on, we appreciate you. Continue to like, share, subscribe, get the notification bell, and join us each and every Wednesday here at Champion Your Culture with Ryan and myself. I'm always looking forward to these moments and having these conversations. Ryan, just to wrap up, when I think about some of the drivers for employee retention, and when you mentioned retention, burnout, it led instantly to leadership and leadership mentoring the next person. You know, some of those drivers for me when it comes to retention is strong leadership, consistent and feedback and recognition, and really opportunities for growth. The main one, is good work-life balance, and then mentorship was the best piece of that. Like, if my leader provides consistent feedback and recognition, and I know that I have a place to grow within the company, even if it's in my department, maybe it's not a C-level title, but I'm doing what I do best, and I'm growing, right? Growing as a person, as a man. I'm being impacted. I'm learning different things. You know, there's organizations, part of Culture Good is that not only are we helping you grow in the business, but we're helping you grow as a business, right? So we're helping you financially, mentally. There's all types of opportunities to grow as an individual. Good work-life balance, right? Balancing what that looks like. But the mentorship is so valuable, as you say. And so I would love to continue this talk about how to grow that foundation of mentorship. What does it look like to implement
more of the
Like
implementation?
your workplace? Yeah. I think it'd be good to give some practical feedback to what it looks like to start something like this.
That sounds great. Let's do that next week. I would really, really love to start talking about the implementation and how to operationalize this. Like, what are the steps to begin to take? Because listen, if you grow your people, you'll grow your business. If you don't grow your people, good luck. Right? Because really, business is a human endeavor. And we're in the business of well-being. We're in the business of mentoring and pouring into others. And we're encouraged because we know that if you're on here with us, our message, what we see as the true, authentic leadership that people are hungry for, that they're longing for, they're looking to work for your company, and they're looking to stay working for your company. Even that we found 84% of employees stated that Culture of Good gave them a reason to still continue working and to stay working for the company they work for. 84%, right? Because Culture of Good builds people. We're excited about having you on. As George said, we're going to hit this on the implementation part next week and go step by step. We're going to get into the weeds. All right. So bring your weed eater, bring your boots next week. We're going to really dig in deep and experience what it means to start taking the steps to build this type of culture that shapes the future of your organization, where people recognize that this is a place of work that cares about me. That matters. George, I love you, man.
Love you too. Love you too, my friend. Love everybody out there that's watching it. Remember, next week, January 24th, 25th, our virtual culture champion certification training. You can visit culturegood.com for more information. You can email me at george@cultureofgood. I would love to set up a time to talk to you and discuss more. It's not too late financially. If you have a situation, let's talk about that. But you need to be there next week.
We want you there.
You won't regret it.
Yeah, we want you there. So we love you. We hope we'll see you back next week on Champion Your Culture.